Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes, I'm wearing my glasses this morning, and yes, they're blue blockers, so sometimes that may make me look pretty crazy on the on the screen. But I was putting my contacts in solution, and they didn't have time to. It's some of those the ones that you have to neutralize the solution, and then I realized last night it tipped over. And so it's probably, if I put them in my eyes, I bet they would burn. So, all right, I got what I got this morning. Good morning, everybody. Last night was fantastic. And by the way, I'm also still trying to, I'll have to get back to Discord. That's on my list of things to do today. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I've got to do today. So it's probably going to be a shorter morning grind here, because I am trying to get everything ready to launch Goodnight Sword and Indiegogo 1 week from yesterday, and then also get the Christmas story underway marketing so that it can be launched in 2 weeks under major time pressure on all of these. So, and Brianna and I are meeting this afternoon to try to work on how to get some things done for YouTube production and really get that going underway. So but I wanted to be here this morning because we had a fantastic discussion last night on Black Hawk Down. And it was so great to see everybody. If you didn't see that, look up the Table Talk Black Hawk Down discussion. It's on the dedicated YouTube channel for Table Talk now. So I made it private on this side. For the moment, I'm still doing the simulcast, but I just made it private over here on this channel. So I'm trying to get everyone to head over to the Table Talk YouTube channel, where you will find that. Hey, Sable. Table Talk. So if you are here or watching and you are enjoying Table Talk, know that very soon it's all going to be over on that other channel. And I've got clips to make and things like that, but I can't do that right now because I got to work on getting these crowdfunding campaigns up. But because we're talking about the that story yesterday, Black Hawk Down. We had briefly talked about the event-driven story before, but hadn't gotten to this passage. But I wanted to take a look at the event-driven story here in Dynamic Story Creation today. So go ahead and see what it says, because it talks about Jurassic Park in here. So we will see. I think it's relevant to Black Hawk Down. So we're going to look at that today. Hey, everybody. Let's see. Sable's here. James is here. Zero the Blade is here. Oh, James says, I hope to have the Christmas story back to you this weekend. Thank you. The Doug is going to read it this weekend. He said, Brianna and I talked about it yesterday. She gave me 3 great notes on things from a thematic standpoint and how to tie things down and anchor the theme a little bit better, which was fantastic. I hadn't thought about it. She those points. So it was great that she saw those and brought them up. So that's another thing I've got to do. I've got to make another pass at it based on her notes at least. So we will see. But yes, crunch time, crunch time, crunch time. All right, let's go ahead and first of all, let's grab our coffee, and then let's go ahead and do our drink here. Breathe and sip, and then we'll do our reading from The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. So here we go. Got it right here. Let's take 2 deep breaths in, deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip. So here we go. And sip. James, if I can finish this, I'm not sure when I'm doing my changes. Brianna and I are meeting this afternoon, so I'm not going to be working on that this afternoon. I got to work on the marketing before. I'm not sure. I would say no. They're not huge changes, because I just don't know when it's going to be done yet. But if I get it done, I will send you the revision for sure. Yes, the Sacrament of the Church of the Geekverse. Okay, so now we have our sip. Now let's take another sip for everybody who's coming in and everybody who watches on replay. Here's to you. All right, where's my? Here it is. I could be able to do that. I could do that. Let me make a note of that. All right. Note made on that. I just got to know when I can get down next. I mean, it shouldn't take all that long to change those notes. I just got to get in the zone for that. Resistance and Isolation, Part 2. Again, this is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Friends sometimes ask, don't you get lonely sitting by yourself all day? At first, it seemed odd to hear myself answer no. Then I realized that I was not alone. I was in the book. I was with the characters. I was with myself. Now, I do not feel alone with my characters. Not only do I not feel alone with my characters, they are more vivid and interesting to me than the people in my real life. If you think about it, the case can't be otherwise. In order for a book or any project or enterprise to hold our attention for the length of time it takes to unfold itself, it has to plug into several internal perplexity or passion that is of a paramount importance to us. The problem becomes the theme of our work, even if we can't at the start understand or articulate it. As the characters arise, each embodies infallibly an aspect of that dilemma and perplexity. These characters might not be interesting to anyone else, but they're absolutely fascinating to us. They make us meaner, smarter, sexier versions of ourselves. It's fun to be with them because we're wrestling with the same issues that has its hooks in us. They're our soulmates, our lovers, our best friends, even the villains, especially the villains. Even in a book like this, which has no characters, I don't feel alone because I'm imagining the reader, who I conjure as an aspiring artist, much like my own younger, less grizzled self, to whom I hope to impart a little starch and inspiration and prime, a little, with some hard knocks wisdom and a few tricks of the trade. When he's talking about here, wrestling with passions or perplexities and problems that are of paramount importance to us. That's a lot of peace. That they're wrestling with here. I was thinking about that yesterday after we had just gotten done with our discussion of Black Hawk Down, which was amazing. Everybody, if you didn't listen, you need to listen in on that one. That we said storytelling is at its best when it's actually grappling with something, and is a vehicle and a way for society to grapple with deep ideas, deep problems, whatever it is that we're dealing with in society or as people. The storytelling seems to be at its best when it's doing that, and definitely the stories, the books, the movies that we've talked about. I think it's been mainly all of the movies as fiction recently, but that's best. The conversations and the discussions go best when the stories that we're discussing are dealing with major problems like that. Like Star Trek 6. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Star Trek 6 is taking so long to get through. Black Hawk Down was definitely that way. And you can definitely contrast that, I would say, with something like Ahsoka. Not only did we not really like Ahsoka, but I don't really, for structural reasons and storytelling reasons and all of that, but it also wasn't really grappling with anything. It wasn't grappling with anything that would draw us in on any great level. And like it's not that everything has to, but it's certainly at its best when it is. James says, regarding taking the roles of your fear, as both Olin Butler and Pressfield say, Selma Hayek was petrified of snakes when she took From Dusk Till Dawn. She had to go to therapy for months before the shoot. Yeah, they were saying artists take what scares them. James says, but she took the role because she was told Madonna was next in line, so her fear of losing the role was greater than her fear of snakes, even though she needed therapy for snakes. Wow. That's a long one. Okay, so resistance and healing, that'll be tomorrow. Good morning, PH. All right, let's go over here. Let me turn on this. And let's take a look at what Drake has to say about these event-driven stories. My desk has accumulated a bunch of stuff again. Books migrate off the shelf and onto the desk. Go gadget. Auxiliary camera. All right. So this is So this is the dynamic story creation by Maxwell Alexander Drake, and it is one of my favorites here. And he does have a section on. Let me move the microphone. He does have a section here on the event-driven story, and we said that we thought that Black Hawk Down was ended up being a disaster story. That was a great conclusion that we came to, and so we understand its structure and event driven. Good Omens, Terry Pratchett says, things just happen one after another. They don't care who knows. So Drake says, in an event-driven story, the events take center stage and the characters in the story become less important. Plot twists, external conflicts, and action are the driving forces behind these types of stories. Basically, something happens and then continues to escalate, forcing a character or group of characters to react, trying to stay ahead of the storm. That's exactly what was going on in Black Hawk Down. Although we said it said here the characters become less important. That I think that's probably true, but one of the geniuses of Black Hawk Down was that it also gave us characters that we cared about. So not only did we have this disaster story that's unfolding, we cared about the characters who were involved. The action was amazing, and that was, I think this is just about out. And the disaster was actually driven by people because you actually had agents on the outside, agents on the other side of the disaster, not just forces of nature. Oh, really? So Madonna wasn't even next in line. They just told her that because they really wanted her to say yes. Good morning, TSL Frontman. Good morning. In an event-driven story, you'll still find sympathetic characters as well as characters who will be unsympathetic. Nevertheless, survival is the name of the game when it comes to an event-driven story. I could be cheeky and make the blanket statement of every single Michael Bay movie ever made are examples of event-driven stories, but I won't, as that would be pretty petty of me. What? I said I won't say that. Instead, let's use Steven Spielberg's adaptation of Jurassic Park as our example of an event-driven story. In this wonderfully exciting movie, a bunch of genetically resurrected dinosaurs break out of their holding cells and decide there's nothing better than eating every single human they can find. Jumping right into the invisible end, this is the theme. He has the story structure here where he's talking about the invisible layer and the physical layer, which is one of the reasons why I think this theory and philosophy of story is so good. The invisible layer is what's happening on your theme, and the physical layer is what's happening, actually as part of your plot on the screen. Jumping right into the invisible end, the major theme of Jurassic Park is about the dangers of technology. As in, are there any dangers we need to consider before we use science to do amazing things? Like, I don't know, resurrect dinosaurs? The personalities of the humans trying to avoid becoming dino snacks should be irrelevant. I mean, the story simply needs a cast of characters to pit against the monsters, so the above question is answered, right? Yes and no. It all depends on what type of story you're telling, as well as what your end game is for the audience. You do also care about the characters in Jurassic Park. That's probably another reason why it works so well. Yeah, clearly the Jurassic Park again. Clearly the universe is telling us something by way of Jurassic Park. So to be brutal, how you answer the questions of the themes will depend on what you want the readers to feel once the story has ended. So how you answer the question of the themes will depend on what you want the readers to feel once the story has ended. Oh, that's relevant to the Christmas story for sure. So you set up a question in a story and then you answer it, and your answer is going to be a major factor in how you feel at the end of the story. Hopefully I did that in the Christmas story. The story of Jurassic Park could answer it with either, yes, there are dangers to scientific advancements, you'll get your face eaten off, or no, science is awesome, plus we get dinosaurs. When you saw Jurassic Park, you know how this question was answered. It's important in this example to bring in a Michael Bay film for contrast. So let's take a look at Transformers. No one would argue with me if I said Michael Bay's Endgame was wowing the audience with an explosion-fueled adventure ride. We just talked about yesterday how explosions and bombs can be meaningless. TSL Frontman says Jurassic Park, the age-old story of a wizard that found ancient magic and without adequate protections and IT support, hilarity ensued. So yes, Transformers, action-fueled, explosion-fueled adventure ride. If this is the end game and the character, then the character shouldn't matter at all, right? I mean, seriously, did anyone care whether or not Sam Whickney, which is Shia LaBeouf's character, survived? I sure didn't. That's not a dig on Mr. Bay. Honestly, it's not. I mean, he's producing movies audiences will pay to see, me being one of them. I truly love a good Michael Bay flick. That being said, I've never walked into a Michael Bay film expecting it to have the depth of the Shawshank Redemption either. Like me, most moviegoers know what to expect before they walk into a Michael Bay production. Think back to Miss Congeniality if you need to remember why giving the audience what they expect is a good thing. Oh, yeah, he talks a lot about Miss Congeniality in this book as a great example of having an invisible layer and a physical layer and answering questions of your theme. James says the real moral of the Jurassic Park is to pay your damned developers a decent salary. Poor Newman didn't stand a chance at that job, DSL Frontman says. Diving into that proverbial deep yet invisible end, the major theme of Transformers was, can doing the right thing triumph over living for yourself? As in, can good win by being honorable, or will evil win because it's so selfish? Let's step back further with our two examples as they relate to these base story structures we're discussing. What if we combine some really well done and some not so well done character-driven story elements into an event-driven story? I've already mentioned I care little for the characters in Transformers, so you should be able to guess that I feel the characters in that movie added little to the audience's pleasure. The movie was what it was advertised as, an action-packed robot slugfest, which was enough to earn my money, making me a hero, putting me into an action-packed ride, and making me feel good at the end because I kicked the bad guy's ass. Your classic good versus evil theme is A-OK in my book. Taking a closer look at Jurassic Park, however, we can see the writers decided to go in a slightly different direction with their characters. They used several tricks in the character-driven stories to create a more emotionally satisfying experience for the audience that went beyond a cast of characters attempting to survive. That's exactly the point we were making last night. Well, I'll use my blue marker here. It's exactly what it says. So they used, combining these things in Jurassic Park, one of the reasons that they used several tricks, they used several tricks found in character-driven stories to create an emotionally satisfying experience, because the emotion is what the readers are getting that went beyond a cast of characters attempting to survive. Let's take a look at a few. To me, they cheated in a very cliche manner by throwing in the two kids. I mean, come on. Even had the two Rugrats being portrayed as annoying, spoiled brats. Very few people want to see kids eaten by dinosaurs. My mother's hopes for my childhood excluded. Since they were both well-behaved and adorable children, this practically guaranteed the audience would want them to survive. It worked. Despite my feelings over this plot device being weak and trite, the kids had a huge emotional impact on the viewer. On a more positive note, the writer spent some brain cells building up the relationship between the audience and several other members. I mean, everyone I know who saw this movie was rooting for Dr. Alan Grant, Sam Neill's character, to survive. In addition to the good doctor, we were all happy to find that both Jeff Goldblum's and Laura Dern's characters alive and well by the end of this ordeal. Another trick used to help the audience reach emotional satisfaction was to generate a feel-good or at least respectable connection between the Robert Muldoon character and the audience. You pretty much knew the strongman game warden was going to buy the farm as soon as he was introduced, but you still held out hope that that might not happen. Everyone roots for the underdog after all. He did, however, give us that wonderfully famous line, "clever girl," before he checked out. Yes, you must say this with a British accent to make it work. Maybe I didn't do that. The loss of a liked or loved character brings its own level of satisfaction to a reader. Bizarre when you think about it, I know. However, it's still true. While the audience misses these characters once they're ripped mercilessly from the story, cough Ned Stark, cough, they subconsciously understand these characters have been sacrificed up for the greater good. I saw clever girl on the screen. Going the other route, did anyone have any issues with either the cowardly investigator dying while sitting on the toilet or the nerdy programmer who stole the dino embryos and caused all the troubles in the first place being eaten by those weird little lizards? Of course not. While this might be definitive proof that our species is irredeemable, we do get some serious emotional gratification from watching those who deserve it get their just desserts. While these are all physical layer elements, they're great points that only serve to make my argument for me. Why were these specific characters portrayed this way? Because each evokes specific emotional responses from the audience: concern for what we care for, sadness over what we lose and love, satisfaction with the death of the evil bastards. Emotional responses the writer wanted the audience to experience. That's what emotional experiences the writer wanted the audience to experience. In the end, these extra things gave the audience the emotional satisfaction that equated to Jurassic Park's massive success, to the tune over just $1 billion in worldwide sales. Compare this to the embarrassingly minuscule $700 million that Transformers pulled in with its trite explosion-filled roller coaster ride, and it almost makes you feel sorry for poor old Mr. Bay. Not really. Both Jurassic Park and Transformers were wonderful movies and huge box office successes. They were simply created with different end games in mind. Both were successful because they gave their respective audiences what they desired. Each of them posed questions to the audience and answered them in emotionally satisfying ways. Of course, now Jurassic Park has endured. Like, we're like, man, we got to talk about Jurassic Park. We don't talk about, hey, man, we really got to do Transformers on Table Talk. Muldoon was an Australian, I think. He may have been. I think you're right. But yes, so once again, we have here, they posed questions to the audience and answered them in an emotionally satisfying way. I just felt one went deeper, asking a better major theme question and spending more time creating stronger physical layer elements, which equated to a higher revenue due to a far greater audience appreciation. I'm sure including dinosaurs didn't hurt either, though giant fighting robots are normally a sure bet as well. Another good example of an event-driven story is Star Wars: A New Hope. I know this is one of those really obscure movies that most people have never heard of, but follow me for a moment. At the beginning of this movie, we meet a whiny brat of a teen who just wants to get his chores done so he can go torment small creatures in the wilderness with his friends. Then bam, his parental units are killed. And bam, the government is going to kill him as well as if he fails to escape. And then bam, he's captured anyway, but with the help of a scruffy nerf herder / smuggler and an aging wizard who we find out is a truly terrible swordsman. I mean, seriously, who puts their sword away during a sword fight? Our hero escapes. Only bam, to get killed anyway. And then bam, bam, to almost get killed anyway. And then bam, 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 more things happen out of his control, and the poor kid ends up flying a spaceship for the first time in an air raid against a moon-sized laser pistol. Takes a deep breath. If that isn't the definition of an event-driven story, I don't know what is. Sable says, it doesn't help that Transformer movies universally have plots that are incoherent messes. So I do think that is I do think that section right there was directly relevant to why Black Hawk Down was such a great movie. Was there anything else in here? That was the event-driven story. We did plot is equal to events, which is not equal to story. Theme and subjects are not the same. We should do that one later, because theme is something that we've talked so much about structure. We haven't talked so much about theme yet. But there we go. Here's a word I'm not going to be able to pronounce again, but makes a timeless element of storytelling from Shakespeare to Jurassic Park. Okay, well, I hope that satisfies everybody's need this morning for some morning coffee and some morning grind and some discussion. James says, man, I got to start this book. And I got to get the other one, the third one now. All right. I have got a lot I've got to do. So I'm going to get out of here a bit early. So maybe it's the same case with you. You may have things to get done. Please go forth, be creative, be constructive, and grind on. Let's get things done. Let's tackle. We're going through October. We're burning days in October. Let's get things done. See you later. Get your work done. As James says. Later.